Predators issue and the Cobra helicopters. And the second question, do you think that the withdrawal process of US troops from the region, from the northern Iraq and all over the Iraq, will cause any void of authority in the region?
We have confidence in Iraq's security forces to maintain both external and internal security. Otherwise we wouldn't be moving forward with our withdrawal.
What is the role of U.S. presence in the region? I mean, you are providing the air security now in northern Iraq. What is the exact role of U.S. presence in terms of northern Iraq security?
Well, again, we've been, as we've been moving towards the January 1st withdrawal date, we have been ceding more and more areas to the control of Iraqi security forces as they've grown in the strength of their own capabilities. I'm not sure what the situation right now is in northern Iraq. I'd have to get those details, or I just would encourage you to contact the Department of Defense.
Are you considering in a kind of trilateral security agreement between Iraq, U.S. and Turkey?
I missed that. Arshad, just sorry, but I missed the. Sorry, you're not distracting. Sorry, I just missed the question.
Are you considering a kind of trilateral security agreement?
A trilateral
security agreement between Iraq, Turkey, and U.S.
Again, I would just say that we're working to have better coordination, cooperation, both between the U.S. and Turkey against the PKK, but also importantly between Iraq and Turkey.
On this very issue, Mark, are you having separate talks with the government of the governor of Kurdistan, with President Barzani of the northern province of Kurdistan, or his Prime Minister Nursultan Barzani?
On this specific issue?
On this specific issue, because in the past there has been a great deal of animosity between Turkey and the government in northern Iraq and Kurdistan. So are you sort of caring for talks, or overseeing talks between Turkey and Kurdistan, independent of Iraq?
Yeah, I'll take that question. Certainly our aim is to, as I said, is to enhance cooperation between Iraq and Turkey, and to focus both countries' efforts on ending the scourge of the PKK.
In the past, you stated clear stance and support for Turkey to cross-border operation just a month ago, actually. And there are different reports now. It is your stance still to support Turkish military operation? Some say already, some of them inside.
I would just say that we certainly recognize Turkey's right to defend itself against terrorist attacks. We also certainly encourage Turkey to work closely with the government of Iraq to combat this threat. Yeah, Christophe.
There are elections. Thank you, Mark. There are elections in Tunisia on Sunday, and the Islamists there have warned against the manipulation of the vote. Basically, what they say is that they would organize an uprising if they are not happy with the results. So do you have a comment on that? And do you have a comment as well on the fact that apparently, according to the polls, the Islamists are well ahead of any other party in Tunisia right now?
Well, Christophe, you're right in that the people of Tunisia do approach a significant milestone in their transition, which is the first democratic election in the country's modern history on October 23rd. The right to choose their leaders now belongs to the Tunisian people, and we're confident that they're going to exercise that right. In the run-up, and certainly during the elections, we encourage the government of Tunisia as well as the Independent Elections Commission to ensure fairness, transparency of the electoral process, which includes unfettered and secure access to voting stations, timely accurate release of the results. In answer to your second question first, the composition of the Tunisian government is ultimately a matter for the Tunisian people to determine. We've seen in Tunisia, as elsewhere across the region, that people have demanded political change in the form of a government that's representative and accountable to the people. We believe these governments should be inclusive of the broad spectrum of civil society, and it's only natural that religious parties are going to play a role in that democratic process. I guess where we would draw the line is that, as your first question implied, the use of violence for political purposes cannot ever be tolerated, and any political party that may use violence to that end cannot be a credible partner in the democratic transition in Tunisia.
Different topic?
On this topic, but you don't have any problems with Islamists garnering a great deal of power as a result of the vote.
I think I just said that we want any government in Tunisia to include, to be inclusive of the broad spectrum of civil society, and that certainly includes religious parties. Yeah, Tunisia. Okay. Tunisia done. You were next, Kieran.
Following up on the one I asked yesterday about whether there was consular access for the Iranian-American who was detained last week.
Yeah. And I didn't get that for you, and I apologize. You mean, you're talking about whether there's actually been...
whether there's been a decision to allow it, and then whether there has been.
Well, I think I said we've encouraged, even though dual citizens aren't required under the Vienna Convention to be allowed access, consular access. In this case and in other cases, we've said that we would support such access. I don't know if it's been granted. I will find out.
I'm curious.
It's been requested.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll find out.
And I'm curious why you keep mentioning the fact that...
I forgot that.
I'm curious why you keep mentioning the fact that you're not obligated to give consular access, seeing as that this is the complaint you always have with the Iranians when they arrest an Iranian-American citizen in their country, that they don't feel that they are obligated to provide consular access to you.
Well,
I'm curious why you have to feel the need to caveat this every single time.
Because we deal in a very legalistic environment in diplomacy, and so it's important to say that we are not required by law or under our obligations under the Vienna Convention to grant access. That said, we do support it. I think that's the point. And in many cases, as you suggested, in other cases with dual citizens in Iran, that access has not been granted.
So is it fair to say then in that case that you plan to do so in this case?
We would support it, yes. We would support access. I just need to find out whether it's been actually asked for and whether it has been granted. And I will do so. We'll do that as a taken question.
Change the topic.
Arshad, and then.
You said that to go back to North Korea, you said that the purpose of this upcoming meeting is that it is a continuation of the exploratory talks to see whether the North is willing to live up to its commitments under the September 2005 joint statement and to meet its nuclear international obligations. Do you want, first question, does the U.S. government see any utility in the possibility of eventually reviving six-party talks?
Do we see any utility in
eventually reviving six-party talks, which collapsed at the end of 2008?
Again, I think we remain open to and remain committed to the six-party process. But again, we're not seeking to have talks for talk's sake. We want to make sure that any talks would indeed include concrete steps that would address some of the international community's grave concerns about North Korea.
And would the North, having made commitments under the September 2005 agreement to abandon its nuclear programs and under subsequent agreements to do other things, would the North have to take actions to meet some of those commitments before you would revive six-party talks? Do they have to actually do things first before you'll widen the circle and resume those talks?
I think it's safe to say that we are looking for, as you stated, some of these concrete actions before we would pursue broader talks. Colombia, sure.
Okay, just quick. Do you have any comments or any reaction regarding this U.S. military attaché in Bogota caught with 4 kilograms of cocaine?
I'll take the question.
All right. All right,
Well,
thank you.
A couple questions on South Asia. One on India, I saw some travel warning from the State Department. If